cameras turned off, the campaign has died, but the work we started, it never subsided. From the desert floor to the mountain height, we're shining the torch, we're bringing the light. 17 counties under one big sky, we're watching the records, we're asking them why. Oh, W4Nevada, the people's own desk, putting the truth to the ultimate test. For the school boards, the cities, the local town hall, we're showing up, brother, we're answering the call. From the receipts to the findings, we lay it all down. Accountability in every Nevada town. If the shadows are growing and you need some sun, bring it to us, now the healing's begun. Speak plainly, speak loud, let the truth be heard. We're keeping our promise, we're keeping our word. W4Nevada.com, you know where to go. Call or text that number, let the power flow. 702-381-4295. Nevada for Nevadans, we're still alive. Power back to the people, power back to the people.
Right at the right time. Let's go.
We're just going to give it one more minute or so to allow people to come in the meeting.
Welcome back to W4Nevada Live. My name is Matt Winterhawk, and you are tuning into the Nevada Division Environmental Protection. We are going to be looking at proposed amendments to underground injection control regulations. LCB file number R116-26. Let's see if we can get that over there. Pop it up. There we go. Now you sees what I sees. I wonder if I can make it even better. No? Oh yeah, I have it sized up for court, which will be back in court.
Yep.
Coyote Springs
Okay.
LLC versus State of
We'll
Nevada.
go ahead and get started here. I am calling this workshop to order. The time is 1:02 p.m.
Yep.
on August 26, 2026. This workshop is being recorded for our records. I'm asking everyone to mute their microphones since it is being recorded. Welcome everyone to the public workshop for proposed regulation R116-26. Thank you for joining us. My name is Brett Allen. I'm the supervisor for the Nevada Division of Environmental Protection's Bureau of Water Pollution Control, UIC branch. Joining us are Andrew Dixon, Bureau Chief, Jeff Kinder, Deputy Administrator, and UIC staff, Lisa Alamon and Laura Bowen. And on Teams is Andrew Cowler, another permit writer with the branch. Some housekeeping items before we get to the main point of the workshop. For those of you in the room, bathrooms are located outside the door to the left, across the lobby, and then to the right. In case of an emergency, please follow staff to the appropriate exit. For those here in person, please make sure you signed in. The sign-in sheets are on the back table over there. Identified if you're affiliated with a small business and that you've picked up the provided copies of the regulations and associated forms. For those joining us on Teams, please ensure your name and affiliation are current for our records. We also ask those who are joining us online to please send us a message or verbally let us know if you're associated with a small business. A small business is identified by having 150 or less employees. There is a link in the chat to access the regulations and their associated forms. We'll put that in the chat after this, the presentation. For those who have joined us by phone, we will use the last 4 digits of your phone number for identification purposes, should you have any questions during the workshop. All documents are available at the NDEP website under the notices page. The workshop minutes and summary will be posted to the NDEP website under the notices page on the end of the week. Oh, yeah, it's like close of business on the 28th. We'll be taking questions and comments after the regulation is presented and ask that attendees state their name, affiliation, and if that affiliation is with a small business, for the record. We will call on those here in the room first. For those joining us on Teams, please use the raise hand function if you have a question or comment. You will be called on in order that your hand was raised. When called on, you will need to unmute yourself. You can also type your question in the chat, and your question will be read out loud and then answered. We will then take questions and comments from those on the phone. To raise your hand, press *5. We will then read out the last 4 digits of your phone number when it is your turn. To unmute yourself, press *6. When you are done asking your question or making your comment, you will press *6 again to mute yourself again. And please let me know if you need those instructions again once we get to the public comment period of time. If there are no questions regarding the housekeeping items discussed, I'm going to go over today's presentation on the regulations. I'll go ahead and get started on that. Okay, again, my name is Brett Allen. I'm the UIC branch supervisor for the Bureau of Water Pollution Control. And today's presentation is on the proposed amendments to underground injection control regulations, LCB file R116-26. Okay, we'll go over the agenda real quick. We did our welcome and our introductions. Then we'll review the agenda, regulation, adoption timeline. And right now I'm gonna go over the presentation of the proposed regulations, open it up for public comments and questions on the proposed regulations, and then we'll adjourn after that time. Okay, wanted to cover the regulatory adoption process. First, to identify the need for new or amended regulations and draft proposed regulations. Number 2, submit proposed regulations to LCB for review. And number 3, hold at least one public workshop to solicit comments, which is this meeting today. Number 4, NDEP submits the proposed regulations to the State Environmental Commission after the workshop and initial LCB review for SEC 30-day public comment period. And number 5, SEC hearing to approve or disapprove adoption of the regulations. Number 6, regulations submitted to the Legislative Commission for approval. And finally, regulations filed with the Secretary of State and go into effect. Okay, so I'll get into the proposed amendments of R116-26. So first, major permit modifications require public notice before approval. Approved major modifications may result in the permit being reissued for up to 5 years. And then we included major modification contents, including increasing injection volume, pressure, or injection zone beyond permitted limits, changing the location, design, or operation of the injection well or related infrastructure, modifying injection fluids, methods, or operations in a way that increases risks to groundwater or environmental impacts, and then finally, any other change not classified as a minor modification under NAC 445A.902. Okay, I'll continue with some of the proposed amendments. Water suppliers must prepare and submit an operations and maintenance manual to the division or district health board approval. The O&M manual must include the following. So system overview, and this will consist of table of contents, the purpose, facility descriptions, system diagrams, operations, such as water flow, wells, pipelines, monitoring systems, inspections, and reporting schedules. Discharge management, water discharge sources, permit conditions, and reporting requirements. It'll also include quality assurance, such as sampling procedures, monitoring protocols, record keeping, and reporting responsibilities. So the next slide is continued contents of the O&M manual to include chemical management, such as chemical inventory, storage, handling procedures, and safety protocols. Operations and maintenance, which is routine inspections, maintenance procedures, startup or shutdown processes, and troubleshooting. Emergency response will be roles and responsibilities, spill leak procedures, emergency contacts, notifications, and reporting. And then equipment, which are procedures for identifying, replacing, and documenting worn or damaged equipment. Okay, we have continuing with the O&M contents, the appendices, which will be permits, monitoring reports, safety data sheets, and supporting regulatory documentation. And the manual requirements must be kept on site and available to facility staff and the division, and must be reviewed and updated at least every 10 years or sooner if required by the division. Okay, so the O&M requirements were inadvertently placed under NAC 445A.667. The content of the proposed regulation will not change. The requirements will be moved to a new section properly placed under the UIC regulations in between 810 and 925. So they'll be placed in the appropriate section. So I just wanted to mention that during this presentation. Okay, continued with proposed amendments. We also have modification of information that will be required in the application for a Class 5 well. And we have past submission do not count as a substitute for current applications. Also, the applicant must provide a complete and up-to-date application with all information the director requires. Incomplete applications will not be processed. And finally, the applicant must use the most current required forms for submitting the information. This is the information that will be required for submitting applications for Class 5 wells. Okay, now we're going to move to public comments and questions on the proposed regulation. And I believe, yep, that'll be, you can leave it right here for a minute. So we're going to open it up to individuals in the room first, if they have any comments or questions.
Yeah, I have a few questions.
Okay, please.
Mark Hallenstein, MarkHaunenstein. The company is UC1. We're a small business, geothermal developer. So the first one is basically just the process. Obviously, this is amendments to the NRS, correct?
NAC, the Nevada Administrative Code.
To the NAC.
This is all NAC.
Yes, correct. Yep.
Okay. So this leads to the second question, which is what changes that you're making comply with the primacy agreement signed by the Attorney General May 2021? And what changes exceed the primacy agreement? This is under the Clean Water Act.
So the UIC regulations and our UIC primacy is not part of the Clean Water Act. It's under the Safe Drinking Water Act. So I'm not sure if we signed anything new.
The Clean Water Act is under protections of the waters of the state.
But the UIC program itself is housed under the federal Safe Drinking Water Act, not the Clean Water Act. So I'm not sure if that primacy that you're talking about is related to this program. Sorry, this is Andrew Dixon for the record.
Okay.
But we'd be happy to follow up maybe later if you have some more information, want to point us to that specific agreement that you're referring to.
Sure. So the conversation now is about specific word changes or details with words within what's going to be changes to the NAC, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Correct.
One of the areas that has come up time and time again is the idea NRS 445-665 discusses what's legitimate proprietary trade secrets. Within 445-665, it identifies directly that information described as discharge into the waters of the state or injection of contaminants through a well are not protected by trade secret. So is there any way we can identify in the new wording to detail, because there will be a piece of this that cannot be just put into a package, stamped as confidential and put on the shelf for 5 years. There has to be some way of addressing that.
And I think in that regulation.
Do you want me to read
Just
it?
to the
I
NAC.
can read the part I'm talking
We
about.
sent the review, the content.
Yeah, that would be helpful for us. I'm
Okay.
just trying to look it up.
Any records, reports, or information obtained through NRS 44A 300 or 45A 730 inclusive must be available to the public for inspection and copying unless the director considers the record, report, or information or part thereof as confidential on the satisfactory showing that the information contained therein, other than information describing a discharge into the waters or injection of contaminants through a well, is entitled to protection. So it's calling it out, saying specifically, if you're injecting anything into waters of the state, that is not to be held as confidential.
So you're referring to an NRS.
Correct.
We are not discussing NRS today. We are not changing any NRS. Or are you looking for just clarification on what this does in relation to that NRS?
But you're calling out what people are supposed to provide within a permit,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
It's necessary to call it out and say the information, all it requires is a line that says stuff that's injected.
And Jeff can maybe correct me if I'm wrong. This is Andrew Dixon for the record. I think that everything we have now that is submitted as part of an application has to, if someone wants it to be confidential, they need to request it, and then we need to approve that. Just because they're requesting it be confidential, if it's not meeting all the requirements, when you're talking about the NRS, then we wouldn't be granting it as confidential. So things that are injected, that's a call for us to make internally, and we would be following the NRS for what would be publicly available or what could be trade secret.
Okay, but could you agree that in the past, a permit could be stamped confidential, and then if that was ever FOIA'd, that information is not available?
A whole permit for us, a permit is a public document. So permit application is different, but the permit itself has never been confidential. Those are public, they go out for public comment, they're public documents. Portions of applications have been requested to be confidential, and that's what we could do. But the permit itself will never be a confidential document.
So based on the latest form provided under the UIC general permit, the GU 26 RC Appendix B, that table is going to be available as public information.
Yes.
Okay. One of the things I also wanted to point out, since we're just dealing with the NAC, is that there's a paragraph D, other modifications not classified as a minor modification pursuant to 445A 902. If you refer down to that section, that entire section discusses the fact that permits can be made, the permit can be considered a minor modification just by changing the flow rate. So somewhere along the line, that NAC has to be addressed as well. To make this make sense, that one would have to be modified as well.
This last one here.
Thank you for that comment. We'll be looking at that.
One last comment is on the section 1, item C. Change to the injection fluids, methods of injection or operations that increases the risk to an underground source of drinking water. Potentially you could add chemistry to that, because that nowhere else you talk about being able to protect the water based on chemistry. And then that increases the risk. How is that decided? Because that could be a major modification just by changing the chemistry of an injection.
I think there's, this is Andrew Dixon for the record. I don't know if you have an answer to that, but some of this is going to be dependent on what's already being injected, what the background water chemistry is. You know, if it's being used as a source for drinking water, I think there's a number of factors that will come into play on that. I don't know if we can say all of them right now. Some of this is a little bit, you know, as we get the situation, we're going to be dealing with it. But I would say any change in water chemistry that could result in degradation beyond drinking water limits is an easy one to call out for that, because we're protecting under UIC, we're protecting for the Safe Drinking Water Act. So we're protecting that beneficial use of drinking water.
I guess the question is who makes that decision? Does the consultant that submits the permit call that out, or is that evaluated internally with the NEB?
Yeah, Brett Allen for the record. That'd be internal permit writers
Okay.
with the branch.
There's, I really like, my general comment is I really like what's going on here. I still think that we've got this outstanding loophole, and I mentioned it last week, with the MOU. The current MOU that I read right now still allows NDOM to do injection for 7 days. That has a tendency to change the water in the reservoir, and it needs to be tested at the time the well is drilled. There's no financial hit for that because they're already drilling the well and taking samples. But the MOU right now is still open, and I understand that there's conversations with NDOM on getting that updated. Do you have any information on that? Will that be come into for a public review or stakeholder meeting?
This is Jeff Kinder. We can respond to all the questions raised today as we move forward with this regulatory package. But yes, we will definitely address all your comments today, and appreciate you participating today.
Sure, thank you. That's all.
Thank you.
Okay, we can move to teams. We do have a hand raised. I can't see the name. Matthew?
Yeah, it looks like
Matthew, go ahead and unmute and you can.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Matthew Winterhawk, and just speaking as a concerned Nevadan about protecting groundwater. I'm asking INDEP not to advance it, R116-26 as it's currently written, revise it, publish it complete and consistent with supporting documents, and allow additional public review before presenting it to the State Environmental Commission. Some of the provisions are worth keeping, including public notice for major permit modifications, complete applications, stronger record keeping, and clear emergency procedures, but several problems must be corrected. So like Section 2 places power generation systems, injection wells, cooling towers, well blowout procedures, and radioactive tracer surveys inside of NAC 445A.6667 and the operating manual regulation for public water systems. Now, the draft says that those manuals must contain this information without limitation. It does not say if applicable. So does this apply to every public water supplier, including facilities that operate none of that equipment? Is it intended only for underground injection facilities, or has the wrong section been used? The answer has to be clear in the regulation itself. Second, in-depth supporting document itself conflicts with itself. Form 1 says there are no new substantive, technical, or operational requirements and only minimal economic impact. But the regulation adds manuals, chemical use requests, testing procedures, and long-term record keeping. Form 1 says the proposal is not more stringent than federal requirements. Form 4 says some provisions may be more stringent. The State Environmental Commission's page says there will be some economic impact on the regulated community. INDEP has to identify which statement is correct and provide the supporting analysis. Third, website notice and an opt-in mailing list are not enough for major modifications involving increased pressure, the volume or injection area or risk. Direct notice should reach affected counties, cities, tribal governments, water suppliers, and nearby well owners. UNDEP must also clarify whether a major modification resets a permit for another 5 years. A modification must not postpone a full renewal review or allow unresolved compliance problems to be avoided. My request is simple. Correct the public water system language, reconcile the conflicting impact statements, publish the completed and signed documents, strengthen the direct notice, and return the revised regulation for the public review. Nevadans always come first. Our drinking water sources always come first. A permit holder's convenience never outranks clear and enforceable protection of the public's water. My favorite NRS statute, 535.025. All sources belong to us. And I want people to remember that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next, can't read the name.
Sheldon, if you
Sheldon,
want to
yeah.
unmute and make your comment.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon, everyone. It's Sheldon Bide with Fervo Energy. Thanks for holding the workshop and giving us the opportunity to comment. I think generally we're certainly supportive of agencies' efforts to make these regulations better and more efficient. I think the thing that drew my interest was the definition of major modifications. And at the risk of stating something very obvious, a major modification requires a lot of time and effort, rightly so, from industry and from agency staff. And so I think my comment would be just to make sure that the agency retains discretion to ensure that only actual major modifications are pulled into the major modification process. And what I mean by that is, like, taken together, I think the proposal broadens the potential types and numbers of major modifications and narrows the minor modifications. So one example, on page 4 of this proposal, I'm looking at the red line that was sent out. Part B says a major modification would include a change in location, design, or operation of an injection well that differs from what was authorized in the existing permit. If you look at Part C, by contrast, it says, a major modification is going to include a change to the injection fluids, method of injections. That increases the risk to the underground source of drinking water. And the reason my tone of voice changes is that last clause is the critical part. I'd recommend considering if that last clause in C also belongs in B. I think there can be changes in location and design or operation of an injection well that don't change anything. I'd argue that a change in a location of an injection well or addition of an injection well that's all within an existing AOR shouldn't automatically be a major modification. And so that's kind of my big comment about all of this, or my big suggestion of something to take a close look at. I think a parallel comment is when making these changes, try to, and this is, sorry if I'm repeating myself, but try to avoid situations where agency staff and industry are forced to go through this complex process that is appropriate for some things, but maybe in a specific instance, we could demonstrate that a change doesn't actually increase the risk. And what I'm referring to is, let me pull open this other tab. You might consider, while you're doing this, looking at the director's discretion in 445A.902 to avoid unneeded major modifications. And there's some parallels to my earlier comments that, like, in that section, I think it's subpart 5, allows some discretion for the director if they determine it's not a risk to drinking water. So again, kind of all the same general comment is retain discretion for agency staff to recommend and for agency leadership to approve that maybe a given proposal isn't a major modification specifically because it doesn't change the overall risk to drinking water. That's my big comment. And I think the second thing I'd ask is honestly more of a question. When I go down to, let's see here, I think it was on page 21, there's some language about MITs in 445A.920. The draft adds some language about the injection well must maintain constant pressure for the duration of the test. I am not a drilling engineer, and I don't know if Rob or Dustin from NDOM are available, or obviously you can consult with your own drilling engineers. I guess I wanted to, just a question is, what were you specifically getting at with that? And the reason I ask is my understanding is there's some of these tests, like a PT log, you're not maintaining constant pressure, you're maintaining a constant injection rate. And I think the same is true of an R8 tracer. You're not maintaining pressure, you're maintaining the rate. And so I guess so I don't know if this is the time for a question and answer, but I guess, is there more of an explanation as to what you were hoping, what you meant by maintain that constant pressure in that section?
I'm going to ask Lauren Bowen to jump in here and answer that question. Do you want to go ahead, Lauren?
Sure.
Thank you.
A static casing tubing pressure test to test the internal mechanical integrity of a well. That's what we are referring to. There's different methods, and we have seen in the pressure temperature spinner surveys, yes, the pressure does change. Those are dynamic. But for this situation, this is for a static test where the well must maintain a high pressure to show that there's no internal leaks in the casing. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think so. I kind of assumed it was a static test of some sort, like where there's a plug and you're raising the pressure. Maybe a follow-up on the constant pressure. And again, I apologize, I'm not a drilling engineer. I think I've seen these tests where there's some bleed off of pressure, maybe 3, 4, 5%, and the engineers would still say, yeah, that passed. So is constant meaning 100%? You know what I'm getting at?
That is a good question. That's why we didn't put a number on it. So
okay.
It does vary because of depth of well. There are site-specific conditions that would warrant what constant pressure would mean, and that's why we kept it that way and didn't put a number on it. There is EPA guidance for Region 9 that we do follow, which does address in more detail, but for the purpose of this, we didn't want to constrain ourselves.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. And again, parallel to my earlier comment, anytime an agency's reworking regulations, I always try to say, don't draw yourself into a corner. And so if you're saying you're retaining some discretion to act according to the EPA guidance, that totally makes sense. And that's all I had. Thanks for the opportunity.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Next, we have Ryan Colley. Go ahead, Ryan, unmute, and you can go ahead with your comment or question.
Sounds good. Thanks, everyone. Ryan Colley from Ormat Technologies. Just another comment along the same lines of the internal and external mechanical integrity testing with the requirement to maintain operational conditions. We've come across situations where those operational conditions exceed the conditions allowable for the equipment to actually perform the test effectively. And so I just wanted to make sure that I passed along the comment that if we could work in some language for those additional discussions or those unique situations where we could proceed with a test to make sure the equipment is intact and doesn't end up in the injection system or in the production system, that would be ideal. That's just one of the concern we have with that language as written.
Thank you for the comment. We'll address that one. I think you're asking for us to add in some language for discretionary decisions like we were talking about with Lauren was just talking about with the MITs. So we'll take that comment.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Matthew, did you have any other comments? I see your hand is still up.
Okay. Anyone else
No,
on
sir, I didn't have
Teams?
any more comments. I apologize. I was on the side note here.
Okay, no worries. Thank you for responding. At this point, does anybody else have any comments or questions they would like to raise before we end the workshop?
Okay, with no other comments or questions, I do want to mention that we will have the SEC.
Matthew raised his hand again. Go ahead, Matthew.
You said you were going to end. So what was the recommendation? Were you going to move this forward or were you going back to rewrite?
We'll be addressing all the comments and posting those responses. I don't know if we're prepared to answer that question right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this is Jeff Pinder. I might just mention we are scheduled to go to the State Environmental Commission on September 16th. That is still our schedule, but we will consider all comments we received today and confirm that schedule.
Okay. All right. With no other comments or questions?
Someone just joined. We're winding down the workshop. If you had any comments or questions, please raise your hand or unmute and let us know.
Okay.
Thank you everyone for attending the workshop, and we'll be responding to comments and they'll be posted on our website. Thank you.
Thank you.
Were you guys watching the same meeting I was watching? That's the Nevada Department of Environmental Protection. And you wonder why my boy Rick Remke can't get any justice out there in Urington or in Mason Valley, or why anything is. I am really terrified of the future of water in the state of Nevada. In my opinion, we have the most highly unqualified people inside of elected, appointed, governmental, non-governmental, we have the worst. Find me someone who actually cares about Nevadans and who isn't out there building their own bottom line for their family generationally. I'm exhausted with. I asked, are you going to move the item forward? We're not prepared to talk about that. That was the whole reason for the workshop or for the meeting, was whether or not they moved their item forward toward the Environmental Commission in the state of Nevada. So take that as you want. I'm going to put out a small article talking about this whatever the hell that was we just watched. But yeah, super exciting, ladies and gentlemen. I just came on to do that. I was going to cover that. It was supposed to be from 1 to 3. It lasted about 38 minutes from 1 to 3. Real deep understanding, real knowledgeable folk up in there dealing with environmental protection and our water. Now, remind yourself again who it is that appoints all of these bright individuals into our government, Oh, that'd be Joe Lombardo, retardo, the no-show. Well, he shows up when there's a good point. Look, guys, I'm out here with the fire. You see me? Hey, guys, I'm over here with Clark County School District. You see me? Hey, guys, I'm over here with the unions. You see me? That's Joe Lombardo, no-show retardo. I don't know how the hell we're going to get through this. It is not going to be through elected officials. It is not going to be through legislators. I'm looking at people that are leaving office, that are putting through BDRs, that are going to committees, that are possibly going to get hit floors. And they're like, okay, so you got voted out, yet your legislation's still going to hit the floor. And I'm going to wonder at myself, like, who requested the BDR? I'm going to go back to the list and I'm going to track it. I'm going to go, oh, this was somebody who was voted out, who put a BDR on the floor, how somehow got to committee all the way through, and Lombardo, because I'm assuming Lombardo would win, but I'm not 100% on that. But I mean, Aaron Forty's out there making great promises, right? He's like, I'm suing them because they're taking our Colorado River water. Bro, you and Lombardo are like a year and a half too late. There is nobody in the office at the Bureau of Reclamation that has a head on their shoulders. There is nobody inside of the Bureau of Land Management that has a head on. Everyone is there to go, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sign off. Alrighty. Yes, sir. Yes. You want to put solar? Yes, sir. Geothermal? Yes, sir. That's who the hell they have in all these offices. I could go back and show you where Mr. Old James Settlemeyer, your savior that didn't get chosen. He didn't get chosen. Now we got David Flippo. Really? Go look at the damn decisions that Mr. Conservancy made when it came to data centers. When it came to mining. Everybody out there likes to make these damn, where would we be without mining? Well, we might have clean water in the future. Mining built this state. Yes. But ignoring the fact that it contaminated water and you made irreparable mistakes and damage inside of areas inside of Nevada that have still not recovered nor have been remediated or dealt with on a level that could actually provide safe drinking water, bathing water, brushing your teeth water for my fellow Nevadans. And then out here, they're selling that shit for $20,000 an acre foot to land developers to put more solar, more data center, more expansion, more industrial. You don't even have clean water to provide to the current residents that are living there. And yet you're like, yeah, we're just going to go out there and make some more money. You're giving us $100 million billion gajillion dollars. Yeah, and the same fucking idiots that put you in debt in 17 counties are the ones spending the 1 billion gajillion million. Your memorandum of agreement and memorandums of understanding and all the nonprofit and businesses in the area that went to all the solar companies and all these power companies and data center companies and developers and real estate and HUD Section 8 home builders, and you put your hands out, you're like, oh, what are you going to give me? And they took it, and then they went back and sat down in their little business, and the nonprofit took it, and the city council took it, and the commissioners took it, and the businesses took it, and then you go and you speak out against it because this shit is going to affect your life in Urington and Elko and Eureka and Austin and Humboldt and Pershing and Oahe Valley. If you want to go Grass Valley back in the, like, it's going to affect you everywhere. But these people took the money, so they're out there fighting you. These people sold their damn water. They're not even ranching. They're not even farming anymore. They're selling the land. They're selling the water. It's located next. You didn't mind living next to a farm. That wasn't your worst concern, even though said farms have been guilty of spills that have killed fish, contaminated rivers, polluted wells. Oh, that's all alleged. Well, why don't we test it? Show it to me, Bob. Show it. Here's the results. But you don't, do you? Because you know the truth, and so do the people that live there. It's embarrassing to me. And I'll be damned if I hear the words anymore from these fools. You know, some of us gotta wear multiple hats. You know, Winterhawk, you're not from here. Get out of here. Well, then all your townsfolk seem to show up in opposition of you. Are you going to tell them all to get the hell out too? I didn't see it, but I did see you arresting people that did show up to speak. And that guy attacked me because I just wasn't on his side. Look, dude, I'm on all Nevadans' side. But at the first and foremost, I've been to many events. Over a decade of serving in the manner of which I am right now, anywhere and everywhere that was necessary. One time in Plainview, Texas, I drove all the way from here in Vegas with my family in a rental because a little girl was essayed in her classroom and recorded by students, and they allowed it to happen. And then they were going to force the family into silence. I walked right into the town, stood up with them. I had people on a roof with snipers. We had drones. There was coverage. There was weird, crazy going on in Texas. It was like 2022, 2023. I want you to understand that what matters to me is my fellow humans, which happen to be my fellow Nevadans and my fellow Americans. That's it. So the people that are against me, they have to be against you. Because there's nothing out there that I've done advantageous or in a capitalistic type of nature for myself. This right here, I pay for. Website, I pay for. Everything I've done is out of my pocket or out of things that I've earned or my family's to continue to move forward in an advocate light, in civic engagement and education across 17 counties in the state to bring people to be more engaged and owning and controlling their commission, their council, their school board, their pharmacy board, their state water boards, that's all I've done. Walk a path, lead it. Show what can be done. And you hear everyone put two words in a sentence. F Winterhawk or ugh Winterhawk. That's not an accolade. That's because that would be you if you were there. That would be your neighbor if they were there. That would be Mr. St. Angelo, who was frustrated and got slammed against a wall by local law enforcement saying that he hit an officer. And I have yet to hear from that report, and I'd like to. I'd like to know whether or not Mr. St. Angelo, not D'Angelo, was assaulted for no reason. And that would make me take a very different approach towards law enforcement's handling of people, right? A lot of people over the past nearly 2 years have sent me document after document after document claiming problems with Lyon County Sheriff, claiming problems with Nye County Sheriff, claiming problems with Washoe County Sheriff, claiming problems with Eureka County Sheriffs. So please excuse me when I be remiss to understand that you must give me a little more information before I go out and say, look here, Miles Umina, Brad, what am I going to do? Go Bill Ferguson, Joe McGill? You want me to go at all those people? The one person I can see that consistently is making mistakes openly. I mean, yesterday the guy put out a report because he talked smack on the internet to a Nye County, Nevada resident. And I would assume that maybe one of them was related to this girl that died in the custody of Nye County Sheriff's Office. And Joe McGill came out and said, yeah, that was me. Sometimes I act kind of irresponsible. Now that, gone, dude. Like at this point, when he goes that way, he's like, yeah, I had a moment in judgment. What if you have a moment in judgment out there with the gun? Moment in judgment with the taser. Moment in judgment when you feel some sort of way. Moment in judgment when you're approaching somebody with a car. Moment in judgment when you have somebody's child in your custody. Done, dude. What you did with that apology, great. Oh, the humility. But you're gone. You just showed Nevadans that you lack the judgment. You're out. You want to go under your breath? Ugh, I hate these people giving me hell. Yeah, I know, dude. I get hell all the time. But I'm not a sheriff. Okay? And at that time, I don't know. I digress. There's so many things going on inside the state. I'm in so many different areas. And it seems to people that they're like, oh, I'm going to get that. I'm going to get that Winterhawk. I'm going to go get in his comment section. I literally had to block some people because they stalk me at such a level. I'm not an elected official, ladies and gentlemen. I am a Nevadan. So, if you continue to act irresponsibly, you just lose your access to being able to see the next meeting, the updated news, reports like this. Even if you don't like them, sometimes it has stuff you need. How about that? Look, The hate only goes so far. Once you realize I'm not working against you, I'm working for you, that hate will drop. At least I assume. But some people just hate just to hate. They're like, nah, you, big nose, I hate you, guys, stupid hats, Vegas, outsider. Grow up. You hate yourself more than you could ever hate me, which is why you've never stood up in all the years you stood in. I worked hard. I went out and yelled in the street and held a sign. Cool. Fantastic. How many times have you been in the boardroom? Boardrooms are boring. Yep, they're boring. Get on the record. Put your files in. File amendments. File paperwork. Make something real. Put a moratorium together. Maybe then you could have people calling you to ask what you think about regulations and what data centers should do when they move into the area. Because I don't think handing out little bits of cash for their $1 billion of income and their billions of dollars in taxable write-off and sales use and abatement? Nah, dude. It's not going to happen. Not on my watch. I'm going to do everything I can to continue to support each and every one. And then for the idiots out there, they go, you're using the AI flyer? You're fighting against AI? You so stupid. No, you're so stupid, you dumb son of a bitch. I'm going to tell you right now. To the camera, everybody, clip this shit. Put it out there. You dumb, boomer, unintelligent, retarded motherfuckers, bro. How the hell do you get by in life not understanding that nothing's been built here? They're trying to propose these centers. And guess what? I am using AI on things. I have been using AI. I've trained models since 2020. I've got 6 years invested into AI. I'm not anti-AI. I'm anti-AI being in my neighbor Rick Remke's backyard. I'm anti-AI being in my neighbor Allison's backyard, next to where her library or her school park used to be. I'm against it being inside of Silver Spring. I'm against it being inside of Nye County. I'm against, yeah, bro, because I've used it efficiently for years. So the bullshit about you selling me national security, we got to catch up. We can't let China get ahead of it. China has less than 500 data centers. In all the 70 years of data centers, they have less than 500. We have over 5,000. And we are planning more. Wake the F up. It's not a war against China. It's a war against your sensibility and understanding that they are coming for your land and your water. The water is currently selling inside this state, and every time they put a news report on, like me, at the newest low level, shit, now it's $25,000 an acre foot. Last week, it was $20,000 an acre foot. But you wouldn't understand that because you don't know what's really going on. Water is being sold. The water that you depend on every day to bathe, to wash yourself, to make medicine, to water whatever plants or shit that you're growing. I am telling you right now that the people next to you that call themselves ranchers, that call themselves farmers, ask them when the last time is they didn't follow a crop or they didn't have a certain number of cattle because they're selling the fucking water. It's millions and millions of dollars in water. And then they pump what they are allotted on paper. That paper water sucks it up out of the basins. You cannot fucking just make it come back. That's an annual pool. It says, oh, this person has 3,000 acre feet annually. AFA, acre feet annually. Meaning over the course of a year, you are allowed to use up to a maximum allotment of 3,000 acre feet. They're yanking 3,000 acre feet and selling it at $20,000 an acre foot. Do you understand what the fuck is going on? They're taking a year worth of water, pumping it out. And not just one. Why do you think I go at the people that are involved in water, like Scott and Vida Keller? Why do you think I go after the people like Nick Beaton, who has control of City Council's water, which is our water, and they sell it off to solar companies? Why do you think I get on to Perry and Sons, who sell fucking water? Mancini, who sells fucking water? Wake up! I'm not your enemy. I'm the only one in the fucking circle right here that doesn't give a shit. You can't buy me. You can't trade me. You can't elect me. You can't move me anywhere. I am Nevadan. I am human. I am American. And I am here to make sure that the next 7D generations have something, because my life is over. Your life as an adult is to make sure that you leave this world a better place than when it was when you got here. But some of you out there think it's to have cyber trucks and have shit paid for you so you can live a materialistic nature, look at the dog next to you with the shorter leash while you're on the longer leash and laugh at that one because you feel you're success. You're not success, bro. And your fucking cyber trucks are jokes. None of that shit means anything. Elon Musk has to pay for sex. The guy is a billionaire. Huh? Let that shit sink in. The reality is money cannot buy you everything. That has to buy you everything. It cannot buy you everything. It has to buy you everything because you cannot come by it naturally. How about that? I laugh at Elon. He knows it. I laugh at Zuckerberg. He knows it. A lot of people idolize these fucking retards that are building the most unsocial network on a social network that they created to track each and every one of us. This is not some mystery, okay? I get wound up because people misunderstand exactly why the fuck I'm here. This guy, he's trying to build his base so he can get elected. I'm not running for office. Fuck running for office. Every one of those guys, I'll tell them, Joe Lombardo is a joke. Sisolak, joke. Gwynn, joke. Every fucking person you've ever thought that was a good governor is a joke. They're there to take blame. They have no power. Outside of going, I'm going to enforce the National Guard to go into Las Vegas. And then Clark County says, we don't want you. We don't want you. And they're like, well, I control the state. And then they have a gridlock. And then you look at some shit like that happened over there. And you think that only that shit happens where J.B. Pritzker is? Only that shit happens where these other fucking governors are? People are so disconnected in understanding what government's power is. He is to execute the law. He's the top executive. He doesn't make laws. So I love when they're like, I'm about to make a law. You don't make laws. Legislators make laws. Judges enforce laws. I am sick for the lack of understanding for positions inside of government. These fools are looked at like a celebrity. They got security teams that run around in Escalades. Put them all on minimum wage and see how many fucking people stay inside those offices. I guarantee you that shit ends tomorrow. Joe steps down. Everybody, minimum wage, bro. No access. You're not allowed to have direct conflicts. If we find a conflict, if somebody donated some shit to you, you go to jail. If I can track that you got a donation or that you worked a land development or that your wife's last name is different than your last name specifically so that you can do land agreements inside of the BLM under the name Alderman instead of the name Lombardo, because that would show the conflicts of interest. That would show how Lisa Cole is tied to every one of these fucking data centers. How Mr. Adams, Weston Adams, and his Adams family from where's that? Loggindale. Yeah, Loggindale family. Old school Loggindale, running around, selling out land, selling out water. How Harvey Whittemore is buying up water under 90 different LLCs or corporations that he's attached to, and how they're all pooling together your water. And you guys think, oh, who's going to build this development? That's what they're doing. They're land developers. Yeah. The developments they want to build are Section 8 housing, where HUD pays 110% of what the market rate is, which is why all of your rent across the nation, and more specifically here, homes that were $800 to $1,200 a month are now $3,000 and $4,000 a month for rent. The same thing to be said about mortgages, where a home was 100, 125, 200,000. They're now 480,000 minimum. All of that is created by these same effing idiots. The real estate market. There's a reason why you got lawyers, real estate, utility purveyors. I want you to understand exactly who's inside of your 63 legislative positions and ask them to explain what their job is. Do you know what they do? They go, I got my 5 bills ready. I got my 5 bills ready to go into Congress for the session. I got my 5 bills ready. Cool, explain your 5 bills. They can't. Their 5 bills don't even come from them. It's not from it's from the... Why don't you take time to actually figure out how the job works? Legislator, make the laws on behalf. You can repeal, you can amend, and you can add anew. Isn't that crazy? The only thing they ever do in all these effing years is new, more, duplicitous, triplicitous. Let's add more laws, add more regulations, add more shit. when they don't even enforce the laws that are on the books. So, write a law where everyone has to eat a pack of Starburst every day. Guess what will happen? People that don't like Starburst will not eat Starburst because no one will be there to enforce the law. You understand that in order for law to be law, it must be enforced. It must be carried out. But to selectively enforce law, which is what they do. This guy can pay out real quick. We need the monies. Sue. I'm working on a campaign to be the next cop so I can go arrest these guys I've been watching for 4 years do the crimes. Then all of a sudden you start seeing crime. Wow, dude, we got cops in this town. Shit, people getting arrested. No, it's election year. All of a sudden everybody knows how to do their job. But in reality, they don't. What's really going on out there? What's really going on with these people? Why are they continuing to lie to you? And then you're continuing to vote for the same people to go back into office. Like, maximum of 12 years. They can have 6 terms. And then they can flip to a senator. And they can have 2 terms. Or, 4, 8, 12, 3 terms. There's 4-year senators in ours, right? I don't know. It's weird. It's not 6-year. Not 2-year. 4 years. 2, 4, 6. Yeah. Your legislators move from an assembly member to a Senate member. Then they go and they try to be an attorney general. Because by that time, they probably had the state give them a law license or some sort of legal avail to be in there. They try to be a judge. You're like, wait, I thought judges have to be... They don't. Either to justice of peace. Like, when you start to really look at how goofy shit is put together, you're like, wow, how does this government get by every day? These people are so unqualified. And then you look at the qualified, which will be the appointed. So the elected people are in the seats and they're just like Dumb and Dumber, right? And then you've got appointed people where they hire like city managers and county managers. Go look at them. Look at the salaries. Look at the money. Like, these people are paid damn near millions of dollars. They're running the whole city. Come on, man. You guys are giving these people $1 million salaries and they're making magic happen for developers, for real estate developers, for mining companies, for casinos if they're within a casino area, for liquor licenses, for everything that keeps the money flowing inside of their sin tax, everything that keeps them going to cover bonds and to make sure that they can operate the city. Well, there's so many things. And then I get so many reports all day, every day about, hey, can you look into this person? This person's doing that. This person's doing that. I'm like, for me to dig into government, it's easy. Elected officials, appointed officials, nonprofits, non-government organizations, contracted businesses, vendors, water permits, permitting, engineers. I can look into many things with heavy scrutiny. But when you come at me with individual Nevadans, I'm sorry, that's just not my bag. The criminal investigate, call a cop, call a private investigator. I will do my best to assist with it, but I'm not here to go after Nevadans. That's where people kind of lose me. They're like, oh, well, I thought you were here to bring everything out. Did you go to an officer? Did you go to a local law enforcement? And they're like, yeah, I talked to them and they won't listen to me. Okay, did you bring proof? Did you have verifiable? No, but I seen it. Okay, well, I don't know what to tell you. There's different levels of investigation. For me, it's about policy. It's about your water, your land, your laws, the officials that execute those laws, the officials and or legislators that write those laws, who's being advantageous for who, on whose behalf or whom they're writing these things for me to be there through legislative session, through board meetings, through work sessions and committees, and to be throughout the cycles. But I don't really care. The politics thing, people are like, oh man, you're just a Dem. Oh, you're a lib. Oh, you're a conservative. Oh, you're a MAGA. Oh, I'm none of those things. I'm a Nevadan. I sincerely, I took in, what's that thing? The voters registration? Go look me up. Oh, is this it? Is this the one? I have both of them because I just registered as an independent. No party. Yeah. See that? Nonpartisan. So I'm none of that shit. I don't care. I ran as a Republican. because I was a conservative Republican. But once you got in there and you spent time around these people, you're like, shit, most of these Republicans are Democrats. A great portion of them. Meaning they're not in there, like, and both sides, whether it was a Democrat or Republican, this was the problem I kept coming into, was like, what are you doing? Oh, well, the data center could bring money into our rural community. Okay, that guy's whack. Move over. Oh, I'm a Republican. And the data center could generate income and taxable base. And I'm like, both of these idiots, like, do either one of them actually know shit about a data center? And like, no. And then I would find out that they're connected to the developer, and the developer is their friend who goes to their church. And then they got all the church friends, like freaking 400 people, like, yes, he's a really good person. I'd never go against him. That data center's going to save us. God sent him here to build us a data center. And then I'm just like, is this shit real? Is this really happening? Did they just tell me God sent their friend who goes to their church to sell them a data center? What is going on here? We were suffering. And then like, it's going to bring in billions of dollars of investment. Now, billions of dollars in investment means they spend billions. That doesn't mean they put billions into your county or your town or your city or your state. The billions will be the money spent on equipment, and the billions will be the money spent on refurbing and replacing that equipment, not going to you. I could show you the charts. Go look at W4Nevada. I've written plenty of times about the boomer bust cycles. Trades. Everybody's like, yeah, you could make, right now, man, you should get in the trades. You don't need no dang college, man. That college is going to give you purple hair and a nose ring. And if you get into trades right now, an electrician, you can be paid $300,000 a year. No, you can't. Shut up. Why do you lie to these people? You're going to build up the staff. You're going to get everybody trained. And I'm not against trades. I think that trades should be in high school, freely taught to students, not at a trade school at an exponential rate, so that you can build up the workforce of trades and then give them over so that by the time they get there, it's so oversaturated in each one of those markets that these kids are making minimum wage swinging hammers, working overtime, busting their hump for $12 an hour in the state of Nevada in 114 degrees with full gear and a hard hat on, because you told them they would make $300,000 a year if they spent $100,000 at the trade school getting the education that they should be getting for free in the public education schools, where children now would rather TikTok and dance, and you can't get them into trades. And my reference for that is the trade school that was built out in Nye County, and the students showed up to a classroom and or trades room with brand new lathe and brand new equipment, and they didn't even participate. The kids and or the children, kids are goats, the children had no desire to work in trades. How about that? They wanted to be singers and hip-hop dancers and hip-hop artists. They didn't give a damn about trying to work a lathe or cutting something with a skill saw or learning how to build or doing carpentry or doing welding or doing machinery or nursing or anything constructive for society. You know why? Because you teach them by your actions what you think is important. Do you ever watch or participate in building and being constructive of anything? Or is it always social media? Is it always Dolly Parton or pardon my French? For you to always worry about whether or not somebody has passed away that says, oh man, you guys hear that? Dolly Parton's passed away. I don't care. Old people pass away. But what I do care is when people next to me, my community, they pass away from contamination. They pass away from no water. They pass away from whatever the situation may be that was a vote. And you're like, what? That can't be everybody. It's a lot of people, man. Downwinders, nuclear explosions going off here for 50 years. Was it 1952 to 92? Somewhere around there. 40 years. Blowing off nuclear bombs. Yeah, there's no risk. And then everybody's got cancer. Everybody's dying. The waterways are polluted. And then there was Henderson back in the day. Magnesium, right? We got to create all the magnesium for the world wars. Now that's a damn, nobody thinks about these things. Black Mountain incident, Carson River. Oh, they took all the extract. They left behind thousands and thousands of pounds of mercury all everywhere, all inside the river. That's why that's a super fun site. Or Urington for the Anaconda. I mean, name the damn place, ladies and gentlemen. At what point do you learn that it's not a good thing? And I've been looking at this lithium mining. That shit ain't working out either. Yeah, the first year they were able to show you some numbers when there was positive. Like, you know what they were building for was electric cars, which have been flopping, by the way. No, electric cars are going to make a comeback. No, they aren't. Okay. This grid that they're building up is somebody's like, oh, it's to support the new data centers. It's because they have to build it. No. Go look at 2013, 14, 15. Look at your casinos and your major companies that were providing all of the income for. We provide a lot as residents in Nevada, which is why we're charged such an exponential rate. But you will notice that in the last decade, your rates have gone insane. That is because the majority of the corporate, big, large accounts that would be drawing huge amounts of kilowatt hours and usage throughout the day, do their air conditioning and everything else that they're utilizing, are casinos and big resorts and hotels. And most of them moved off of NV Energy back in 2015, 16, 17. They started suing to remove themselves from NV Energy, and they had other companies piloting in lines. Like you had Texas energy companies coming in. You had companies coming in from solar to jump onto the mass. That's why right now you're seeing solar fields and geothermal and this massive run at our grid. They are going for the death blow of NV Energy and Berkshire Hathaway's monopoly. And they're not having it because Berkshire Hathaway and NV Energy have very strong agreements, and Nevada Power has very strong, heavy, grandfathered old agreements, and so does Sierra Pacific Energy, and so does all these conglomerates that happen to be NV Energy, Berkshire Hathaway, and your power. So you're watching people fight over this right now. And at the same time, they're like, I don't care what I carve up and what I harm in the middle of it, as long as I'm the utility owner for the next 162 years. You have to understand what the game is. A lot of people think, oh, if I sold this product, it's great. If I sold that product, it's great. How about if you had a product that everyone needed, like water? You can't live without water. You can live without an Oreo. You can live without Starbucks. You can live without a plastic toy. You can live without everything. You can live without an X subscription. You can live without a live subscription. You can live without streaming. You can live without TVs. You can live without, hell, you can live without electricity. You can live without everything except water. Now, understand the game. And the game is being the owner of water. People develop it, and they want you to feel like they're the good guy. They're really not. And it's not because they're not poisoning you. Why would they poison their waterways or systems? They wouldn't. Because they wouldn't have nearly 4 million people that depend, live, breathe every day on water. Water, ladies and gentlemen. Why am I the water boy? Why am I everywhere in water? Because water is our natural resource. We need it to live. Every person. No corporation, no government, no one outside of God, him or herself, however you view it, by whatever religion and whatever thing you have going on, is the only thing above. That's it. Outside of that, the God in your life is water. And for you to not fight for your God, your life force, what keeps you alive, and for people to condemn and go up against me, oh, batshit crazy, bro. You have got to be crazy if you're coming against me, because I am not letting up the water. I'm a Bobby Boucher. The H2O is better. Bet your butt. That's what I'm here for. And I'm not letting go. So you out there, the Harvey Whittemores, the Nick Beatons, who have control through city council's water allotments, and Jerry Bryant's and the Scott and Vida Kellers and the mining industry who's playing games buying up Bing Crosby's ranch with 6,141 acre feet, and the other, what was it, 3,000 plus acre feet that's coming through Weston Adams and the Northern Nevada Industrial Center that they're trying to build out like Tahoe Reno Industrial Center. I'm coming for you, and I'm never letting go. Legally, for your paperwork, I will bring 50, 100, 1,000,000 people to your door. I will drag every fucking board meeting you have to make sure that 500 people come every fucking board meeting that you have to sit in. You elected and appointed pieces of shit. Oh, if it doesn't apply to you, well, then it doesn't apply to you. Don't come back and be, how dare you call our elected and appointed pieces of shit? They are. Because you'd think it's a formality that you have to listen to public comment and or take any word or instruction from we the public, we the people, the owners of the resources, the owners of the land, and the owners of this damn country. You've lost the plot. That is what this entire thing is about, is making sure that every person is the most informed, engaged, educated citizen, Nevadan, American, human that they can be. And I will help anyone. I am not here to start to attack each individual Nevadan that everyone has a dislike with, or you are fired from a work, or you're jaded, or you have some fucking problem. Take that shit up with God. I'm here to track down the very people put in positions of power and or have been given power over you by corporate, food, water, shelter, another way to make sure that they do exactly as they are supposed to do. If not, they will hear it. Until the day I sail off into the distant sun. And I thank you for that. So please, enjoy the day. I'm going to go back to mine. And remember, we are not just 2 counties in a sports book. All 17 or 16 in an incorporate city that becomes a capital city, because it used to be Ormsby before it was Carson City, so we could have the largest capital city in the United States. And that's how dick measuring contests seem to confuse the lines. So is it 17 counties, 16 counties? I'm going to call it 17 for now. And remember, we're not just Vegas.
We're not just Vegas.
Have a good night.
You're not. Read the whole map. Read it. Lights don't run the state. No, they don't. That's a small cap. Small cap. We're not just Vegas. Look around. Past the neon haze. Past it. 17 counties. All of them. Different lives, same place. Same soil. Same soil. They think Nevada starting in on the strip. That's like judging a book off the cover it get. Vegas loud, yeah, but that's just a slice. Plenty state left once you drive past the lights. This town's where a handshake still means something. Where folks know the land and the seasons are blunting. Where work don't trend and patience is learned. Where votes still matter cause people return. We don't all gamble, we don't all party. Some folks wake early, boots dusty coffee. Some places quiet, some places spread. Some rows long conversations with your head. The state breathe wide, not stacked in a frame. Don't shrink us down to a postcard name. We're not just Vegas, no way. No way. That service talk, surface. Real Nevada, out here. Outside the wall, outside. This land where the sky feel heavy or blue. Where the silence louder than the news. Places built slow, no rush to impress. Where people still show up, not just express. Some counties keep food on shelves you don't see. Some keep water managed responsibly. Some keep the lights on, roads still paved. Some keep the history from getting erased. Not every voice come with billboards and sound. Some carry weight just by sticking around. We don't move fast, cause we plan ahead. We don't burn bridges just to feel sad. Nevada ain't one tempo, one look, one lane. It's contrast stitched into the same terrain. We're not just Vegas. Past the glare, past it. The state move quiet, steady. Everywhere, all around. If you move here, welcome. Just learn the pace, respect the